Hello everybody, my name is Blue, and today we are revisiting the Grassland Zoo with the Red-Necked Wallaby today in this speed build. Also smaller animals, so yet again a shorter build, which is a good thing maybe for some of you who don't like to look and listen at me building and talking for 30 minutes straight. So enjoy this speed build, because the build is actually quite good. You'll like it, I'm sure, because the build looks very modern, yet again, as all builds do in this zoo so far. But it has this very green kind of feeling with it, because I've added a lot of greenery on the roof and stuff like that. Feeling more like a it's like a conservation zoo. This would fit in the conservation pack, let's say, but with the wallabies. And the wallabies are wonderful animals. They're marsupials from Australia, actually. Um, they're you could say they're small kangaroos, but they're their own species, wallabies. They're marsupials, just like kangaroos, though, so that's a similarity they definitely have. Um, I'm sure they're closely related with kangaroos. I'm not a wallaby expert, but I'm pretty sure they are closely related. But the wallaby is actually, as I said, Australian, which I was quite excited about because we don't have a lot of Australian animals in the game. Well, I suppose now we have more than at launch, because at launch we only got one habitat animal, being the saltwater crocodile, I believe. And well, we got the Australia pack, which was amazing. The pieces were good. I'm using Australian pieces right now with these metal beams, actually. It only gave us 4 animals. Well, saying only, they're probably the most iconic Australian animals we have, being the red kangaroo, the koala, the dingo, and the cassowary. Maybe with one exception being the emu, which is probably more iconic than, for example, the cassowary. But here in this Grassland pack, we actually got the emu as well. So this pack gives us 2 Australian animals, which is great. I love more Australian animals. I'm a big fan. I'm a massive fan, even. I think any pack with Australian animals is definitely a plus. Obviously, we got some more Australian animals in the past. So, for example, the platypus from the wetlands pack, I think, and we also got the wombat in the Twilight pack. That was the previous pack. So that's quite nice, actually. But now we got 2 more in one pack, so that's really cool. And the emu and the wallaby are both amazing Australian animals. I think, in my opinion, this really completes the Australian roster. Maybe not the Oceanian roster, because there's definitely some more species that would be quite cool. And I think the only Australian animal that I think is a must is the Tasmanian devil, but maybe I'm just biased because I love Tasmanian devils. But I think a lot of people have been asking for Tasmanian devils as well, so just give us a Tassie. Just give us a Tassie. And I think it's realistic to think that they will add some Tassies, because they're awesome animals. Why wouldn't Frontier add them? And there are some other Oceanian animals that people have been asking for. For example, the kiwi, which is another bird, and I'm always welcome to add some more birds in the game. I love birds. I mean, I don't think kiwi is a must, but I think people would really appreciate if they added kiwis. And also the tree kangaroo, which is a super unique marsupial, nothing like the marsupials we have in game right now. Well, the name describes it quite well. It kind of looks like a kangaroo, but it lives in trees. It's like if you cross a kangaroo with a squirrel, right? And I think the Goodfellows tree kangaroo would be a really nice addition to the game as well. But we have to be happy with what we got. We have 2 new Australian animals, one being the Red-Necked Wallaby, which I'm building a exhibit for right now, and it's stunning. The model is also really good. I think despite, looking quite close to a kangaroo, it looks different and it looks unique. They have remodeled the actual wallaby model, so it looks different, and I think it has unique animations as well, as far as I'm aware. And actually, the red-necked wallaby is bigger than I expected as well. I'm not a wallaby expert, but I thought they were smaller, and I was quite surprised when I saw them in game, which is cool. I mean, maybe I was being a bit like confused with some other wallaby species. Maybe the red-necked wallaby is one of the biggest species, but I thought that wallabies in general were smaller because the actual enclosure I made felt a bit too small for the wallabies. But it's fine. It's just a game, and it looks good. It still looks big enough, I suppose. Just not big enough, according to the game. According to the game, it's too small. But it looks good, so I'm glad with that. And as you can see, I'm using a lot of greenery in the build. The grass pieces, and I think those grass pieces are from the conservation pack, I want to say. Like, those are like these grass panels. They have a small one and a big one. I think the aquatic pack gave us something similar, but instead it was like these tropical panels, like these tropical plant panels. So now we got the same, but with just plain grass, which is awesome because I definitely felt like it really fit for this build, and I ended up putting actual grass species on top of these panels, but it was a nice base layer to use. And a Merry Christmas to everyone who's watching this on Christmas. Obviously, if you are watching this on Christmas, you probably should go and spend some time with your friends or with your family. And if you're not watching this on Christmas, then well, you know that this was released on Christmas, so that's some trivia for you. So as you can see, I'm adding all these different grass species, and also the like a little archway. Well, it's not that small, I suppose, but you can see the little archway that I'm doing here. I think those pieces are from the Twilight pack as well. Those are like the mason wall beams, I think they're called. And yeah, that looks quite good as well in my opinion. And I end up adding grass on top of this little archway as well, having like this arch of, well, grass, I suppose. And this side actually won't have glass, but just, well, the mason wall pieces. And the idea was that these pieces look a bit like these concrete blocks stacked on top of each other, because you don't really, as a guest, you don't really see the concrete, like you don't see that side, so it makes sense that they wouldn't decorate it. It would just make the building structurally sound. So that's why it looks like that. And then the actual windows, I used these like modern, like new world panels, but I used them a bit slanted, because this is actually inspired from an actual wallaby enclosure where the glass was like slanted, like forwards, as you can see here how I'm doing it, and it looks super cool. So I kind of used that idea, that design, and integrated it into this build as well. And I end up making this like oval shape, this half kind of like circular shape kind of thing that's going on, and then obviously filling in the holes with natural, well, not natural, but with faux rocks, because you can never go wrong with faux rocks, right? From the aquatic pack, by the way, if you were wondering. And then I put the entrance there, but I end up actually moving the building, and the actual inside of this building is quite basic. There's not a lot going on in there, but I may end up just adding some more kind of education things, possibly, because I did that for the wolves, not the wolves, for the hyenas, sorry. I did that for the striped hyenas, so I thought maybe I could do something similar for this building, because it does seem quite useless, I suppose, to have a whole building built just so you can look at some wallabies. If you could just have a viewing point with a little arch, with a little window, I suppose that's all you need. But obviously having a whole building, maybe there could be some like education going on in there, you know, some boards, some different signs, maybe even an educator. There could be some like seating and stuff, so people can listen to the educator. That's an idea. I haven't done any of these things, but I may add them before I do the real-time walkthrough. And then adding grass pieces on top of here as well, but this time doing these like browny, like dead looking, like arid looking color for the grass to switch it up a bit, you know. And then actually these wall pieces that I built for the striped hyena, reintroducing them, re-adding them to the wallabies. So that's just gonna be their backdrop. A lot of faux rocks, as you can see. And it ties in really well with the rest of the zoo, I suppose, since I'm using the same kind of like rock design. And then now, all that's left to do is the front bits and the actual enclosure itself. So I end up just adding some trees, some simple rocks and stuff, not too complicated. And the front side is just some planters, something simple like that, you know. So moving the rocks a bit because I wanted to change the shape a bit. It was too square for my liking, but I think it looks okay. And then I just adding a bunch of rocks, changing up the texture so it doesn't look identical to the striped hyena enclosure, but still have this kind of staggered kind of look to it. And it ends up quite okay. So yeah, just some basic training, basic plants. It's not too special, I think. The plants that I use are mostly from Australia. And then I also add these faux tree pieces just to add a different texture to differentiate it even more. I think it works out as well. And then similarly to the striped hyena, just a bunch of rocks. Not as many, but just a bunch of rocks and some trees. The Australian species, I think all the species are Australian, so yeah. Eucalyptus, I think mainly eucalyptus and the ghost gum tree. Also, these are like the climbing pieces, but it just works as like dead trees and stuff as well. So I end up doing that. And when it comes to actual shrubbery, just a couple of grasses, but nothing too much. I want it to feel very sandy, you know, a lot of sand. And then the front is quite basic as well, just some plants, a statue. It doesn't have to be too over the top all the time, you know, it can be something simple and still look good. Just some simple grasses. And well, grass is a common theme in this zoo, isn't it? So yeah, the same backdrop that I'm using from the striped hyena build. So just for continuity sake, I suppose, so it ties in nicely with the rest, and also the same kind of like planters and similar door that I use as well to tie everything in. And then yeah, as I said, similar planters and just the same grass species as always. And then that's basically the end of the speed build, and then I suppose in a minute we can hop into some real time. So enjoy the rest of the speed build and I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so here we are in the real-time tour, and as you can see, the build looks quite cool. There's some statues of, like, obviously these are kangaroos, but we can imagine that they're, you know, wallabies, and some modern art right here as well. And we'll take a look inside. So the inside, I've actually added some education boards and a seating for, you know, an educator. And this is the view of the wallabies. Look how cool they are. Aren't they beautiful little animals? And oh my god, this woman. But yeah, so you can even see the building from the striped hyena in the background. And, you know, they're having a nice little drink and jumping around, having a good old time. And right close to the glass, isn't that cool? And, you know, just like the other builds, this one actually looks really cool at night, so we can quickly hop into nighttime and we can take a look at what this has to offer. So this is the zoo, well, the build at night, and you know, the lights really do enhance the build in my opinion, with the lights lighting up the little decorations, and also the inside looks really nice with the lights on. Look at that. Obviously no lights in the enclosure itself to give them a bit of that privacy, at least, I suppose. So I hope you enjoyed this speed build and the little tour. I wish you all a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the next speed build. If you have any suggestions for the next animal, you can give me suggestions, or if you want me to continue on the Higashiyama Zoo, you can say that as well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.